everybody, this is Miss Karen here from the Montgomery County Norristown Library, and we are back with another fun painting craft. So today we are going to make this beautiful butterfly painting. Now as always, I made an example to show you guys. I'm probably going to make my example in the exact same colors, but especially with this painting, you can choose whatever colors you would like. So the first thing you're going to do when you get your canvas, you'll see that there is a butterfly shape already outlined in pencil. So you're going to pick one of your colors, whichever one you'd like, and you're going to paint all the rest of that negative space. So you're going to pick your background color and just paint around that butterfly shape. Now again, don't worry about that looking perfect. We're going to paint right over that again. As you can see on my example, there's going to be black paint all the way around that shape. So it doesn't need to be perfect. Paint right over any mistakes you might make there. So I already went ahead and painted the background on my new one here just to save some time. Now the next thing we're going to do is go in and we're going to fill in the color on our butterfly's wings. So what you want to do for this, whatever color you pick, you want to pick 2 shades of the same color. So for this one, I'm going to use the light pink and the dark pink. But for example, if you wanted to do a blue, you could choose one of the dark blues and a lighter blue. Green, you could use the dark green or a lighter green. And if whatever color you choose you don't have 2 of in your paint set, you can always use a paper plate, take the colors you want to use, and you can mix part of that color with the white to make it a little bit lighter. So if I wanted to use yellows, I would use the dark yellow, and I would mix some of that with the white and make a lighter yellow color. So just for the example, I'm going to use the light pink and the dark pink, and we're going to make a nice kind of mixed faded effect in that butterfly wing there. So what we're going to do is take some sponges or some of the bigger brushes that you have from your paint set, and you're going to take some nice big scoops of paint, and we're going to kind of make little puddles of those 2 colors all the way around the butterfly shape here. So you want to make sure that you're doing this pretty quickly because that paint can dry very fast, and we want it to stay wet so that we can mix all those colors together. So I'm going to use my 2 sponges here. So I'm going to dip that into the dark colored pink first. And for the sponges, you might have to squeeze it a little bit just to get it to fit inside of your little paint bucket. So I'm going to get that nice and saturated, very covered with that dark pink. And I'm going to just kind of squeeze it around onto that canvas. So again, I'm going to dip that in there. And you can see how there's nice big wet puddles. Now I'm going to very quickly switch that up to another sponge, and I'm going to dip that into the light pink. And I'm going to get a lot of paint on this one. The lighter color, you're going to want more. So you see I have almost the whole half of the sponge covered there. And I'm going to do the same thing and go around and squeeze it around the board. You can already see that it's starting to mix. So while those paints are still wet, you're going to want to go ahead and just do lots of dots with your sponge or your big brush, and you can see as I go over all those wet paint spots, it's mixing those colors together. Okay, now you don't need to get it right to the edge of your white space because again, you can see here we're going to go over all of that in black, so you just want to get it kind of close, but you don't have to go all the way, but you do want to fill in all of those middle sections there. Okay, so we'll go up all the way around, and you can see how those colors are mixing together. But if you find that they're not mixing as much as you'd like, or if you have too much of a dark color and you want some of the lighter color or vice versa, you can always dip in again, or sometimes you can just take the corner and scrape some off of the paint lid. Makes it a little easier, and then that'll just give you some more diversity in the colors there. All right. So once you have it nice and mixed however you'd like, you're going to set your sponge or your bigger brush aside. And what we're going to do next is go in with a slightly smaller brush. I'm going to use this kind of round tipped one here. And we're going to go ahead and do all of the black outline of our butterfly here. Now the best thing to do is to wait for your inside colors to dry. Just because if the paint is still wet when you're painting the black border, it might mix with the colors a little bit and make it a little bit harder to get that clear lines. But just for the sake of time, I'm going to paint over mine while it's still wet. So if you see mine mixing together, you can avoid that just by waiting maybe just a minute or 2 for those colors on the inside to dry. All right, so the first part we're gonna paint is gonna be the one half that you see of the butterfly's body. So if you've painted over your outline a little bit, it's no problem at all. We're gonna kind of make a half of a sausage shape for the body part here, and then we're gonna make another little half circle right at the top, and that will be the butterfly's head. So we'll dip into the black paint, and like I said, we're gonna do kind of a sausage shape. So we're gonna go out and around. And there are my colors kind of mixing together. You can see that here because my paint's not dry. But here we have our half of a sausage, so it's like a nice long oval. And we're only painting the one half. And then we'll do the half of a circle up here at the top. And that will be our butterfly's head. All right, so we have the half of the body and the half of the head. Now we're gonna go around and we're gonna outline the entire shape of the wing with that black paint. So any of the white space that you left along the edge there, you're going to want to make sure that you fill all of that in. And depending on how much space you left, you should be able to do that with just one paint stroke like this. But sometimes you can go back and fill it in if you need to go multiple times around. Whatever you need to do to just fill up all of that white space. And as always, these definitely do not need to look perfect. If you think you've added too much of the black paint, or maybe not enough, if you think you've missed a spot along the edge, you can go back. If there's too much black paint, you can try to cover up the black. The easiest way to do that would be have more pink paint on the inside, and you can kind of cover up some of the black, and it will kind of just make it look like a darker, in my case pink, a darker color. Or if you've left some white spots on the outside, you can always just take your background color and go around that again. And again, you can kind of see my colors are mixing a little bit. I've got some pink paint on there, but that's just because I didn't take the time to wait for my paint to dry. So that should be easy enough to fix there. So again, we're just doing those nice thick outlines here. Cover up all of that white. So you can see kind of down here, I've used a much thicker line on the bottom just because I had more white showing. But we're gonna connect all those lines and those dots together. We'll fill this in more here to cover that white. All right, so you should have something that looks just like that. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and make the designs on the butterfly's wings. So you can paint these however you'd like. You can make zigzags, you can make swirly lines, you can do whatever you think will look cool or pretty on your own butterfly. So I'm going to paint mine to look a little bit more realistic. So if you want to do kind of a realistic looking butterfly design, you can follow along with me now. So I'm going to start on the top wing, right where these two black lines meet together. And I'm just going to paint down, out, and back around up to the top. So you can kind of see it almost makes like the shape of a leaf right there at the top. And then coming down from that, we're going to start right at that line and come down to the bottom part of the wing, and we're just going to do a couple curved lines. So there's my pink mixing together. So we'll do some curved. You want to do some going in opposite directions. So I did one curve this way, one curve the other way, and we'll just add a couple more. So just a few curved lines, just like that. Now on the bottom part, we're going to do kind of like an oval with a tip. So this one definitely looks like a leaf or maybe the top of a feather. So we're going to start on the side, come down and around, leave a point, and then meet it again, down and around, and then we have a little bit of a point there at the end. And this part's nice and easy. Just coming off of that shape, we're going to do some curved lines all going in the same direction this time. So we're going to just come down and up off the top and do some curved lines just like that. We can add one more here. All right. Now, if you want it to look a little bit more contrasting, like I have in my example here, you can use a smaller brush for those inside lines. So when I painted this one, I used the bigger brush for the outside and then a smaller brush on the inside. You can see on the one I'm painting right now, all those lines are pretty much the same width. So if you want it to look a little bit neater, you can use the smaller brush on the inside. I just don't happen to have one handy right now. All right, now the last thing we have to do is just the antenna coming up off the head. So we're just going to do a curved line with a curly Q coming off the top. So we start on the head, we come up and curly Q around, and we can go back over that if the paint's not super clear. And there we go. Super easy, super fun, and like I said, you guys can use any colors you'd like. I'd love to see some pictures of what your paintings looked like and what colors you used. If you'd like, you can share those to our Facebook page, and we would love to see them. So thank you guys so much for painting along with me. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to have another painting project. And as always, thank you guys so much for having fun with us. See you next time.